During Drizzle Season 2023, things were looking up for us Brella players. Tenebrella got a top tier kit, Splat Brella received basically its perfect kit, and even the Reef Slider on the vanilla undercover Brella got some nice buffs. I, and I'm sure many other Brella players, were feeling hopeful, which is not something I had felt at all since the start of the game. But then the undercover Sorella Brella released. Yeah, they really fumbled not putting Tacticooler on this weapon. Now, in spite of this, I was still very hopeful for this class. Around this time, Splat Brella and Undercover had been receiving some pretty nice buffs. And alongside this, I was very hopeful for the soon-to-be 4th Brella, as the possibilities for a new Brella were endless. Now around this time, data miners were able to find some code names for the brand new main weapons that were to be added later on. And the feeling I got reading that data mined information about the 4th Brella, I think can only be compared to the feeling a father gets when he sees an ultrasonic picture of his unborn child. I know that's a really weird analogy and I've never experienced that myself, but I think you get what I'm going for. The code name for the 4th Brella was Shelter Focus, which is pretty cryptic, at least compared to the other data mine names. For example, the code name for the new dualies was Maneuver Long, which led some people to think that it might be a dualie with a long dodge roll, and it led some other people to think that it might be a dualie with long range. Turned out that both of these are actually true on the Dowser dualies. Shelter Focus, on the other hand, is a lot more vague. Shelter obviously means it will have a shield. This is foreshadowing. But Focus? It is obvious in hindsight, but back then I could not imagine what on earth it could mean. The Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1. Oh boy, what a weapon. The focus in Shelter Focus refers to the more focused spread of the shots, which at first this seems like it would be a good thing. Less RNG in the shots means you should more consistently be able to deal max damage even from far away, which is really good on this weapon since max damage is 90. But then you see what the lack of shot spread does to the paint, which takes about one game of Splat Zones to make you question your life decisions up to that point. Now, to be fair, the paint is better if you launch your shield, which happens to be one of this weapon's main gimmicks. The Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1, yes, I'm going to keep calling it that, launches and gets its shield back extremely quickly, which at first seems like it could be interesting. The Tenebrella launches its shield quickly, so maybe you could just play kinda like a fast Tenebrella that gets a lot of shields. Except while the Tenebrella has 700 HP, and it gets even more after it launches, the Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1 has 100 HP, or 200 health points when launched, which, for reference, that's as much as the Undercover Brella has. So the low health with the shield combined with the very introverted nature of the shield makes it so the Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1 basically doesn't have a shield at all. It's less of a shield and more of a wide curling bomb, at least in terms of mobility tools. So really this is the least Brella weapon type out of all of the Brellas, which discourages a lot of Brella players from playing it. And also because the weapon is very weak right now, it discourages pretty much everyone else to not play it. This weapon is, well, frankly disappointing, but it gets worse. You may have noticed how similar the Splat Brella is to the Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1. They both have very similar firing speeds, very similar times to pull up their shields, and Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1 even has Splat Brella's old damage that it had in Splatoon 2 before it was nerfed. Now, two weapons being pretty similar to each other normally can be a really good thing. Take for example the Rapid Blaster and the Rapid Blaster Pro. For you Rapid Blaster enjoyers out there, you basically get 4 kits in many different playstyles, because you have 2 pretty similar weapons. But here's the problem with 2 very similar weapons. There are some restrictions on how you can buff them. For example, the Rapid Blaster really can't get that much of a range buff. Neither can the Rapid Blaster Pro get that much of an ink efficiency buff, because these weapons would be way too similar. Now, do these weapons need those buffs? Arguably no. But let's say hypothetically that they did. This here is what I think to be one of the biggest problems with the Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1. It's difficult to buff either Splat Brella or Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1 without making either one obsolete. Want to buff Splat Brella's damage? Well, you gotta be careful not to step on Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1's toes. Do you want to buff Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1's shield HP or the time you get to hold it? Well, you better do it in such a way that makes it so Splat Brella still has a reason to exist. I hope you can see what I'm getting at here. These weapons make it very difficult for either of them to get buffed, which really hurts because both of these weapons would really like some buffs. So even though I am sure many other Brella players were excited for this weapon, not only was this weapon a disappointment, it's even worse because it hurts my weapon's chances, the Splat Brella, of getting impactful buffs. Now, maybe this isn't as big of a deal as I'm making it out to be. Nintendo could buff both of these weapons in a really smart way, but will they? I doubt it, and can you even blame me with these recent balance patches? Well, sorry for the more negative video. On the positive side, I do enjoy this weapon at least, and I actually really like the kit. What do you guys think about the Recycled Brella 24 Mark 1? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. My name is Califman, and I will see you in the next one.